Hi there. My name is Junaid Islam, and I'm with the Smart City Council. And on April 30th, we have our first cyber event where we're going to focus on all the security aspects of smart cities. And we are happy to have Christina Page of Hannon Partners. She is an expert in risk management on the total process from the assessment to the operations to working with vendors to working on policies. Smart cities is super exciting in terms of all the technologies, but with all these technologies, there's a lot of cyber risk. And Christina has been working in this area, and we're so lucky to have her. And for the people who end up joining the session, I think you'll really enjoy her. So with that, Christina, would just love to hear about a minute about yourself, and then let's talk about some of the things you're going to be talking about. So a few minutes about yourself and some of the fantastic things you do.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm really excited to be part of this. So, I've been in this field for about 17 years, working together with organizations on understanding their cyber risk and managing it, figuring out how much is too much or too little, and fitting it to what they really need at the end of the day. And working together with Hannon and Partners, we work on major projects, major procurements for IT and understanding and managing them, as well as that cyber risk element. And we also work as the virtual CIO or CISO for that organization. So providing that oversight, that IT expertise where organizations feel they might need more of it in whatever field they need. So, in terms of smart cities, it's such a cool way of making a city more livable and lovable. And I'm all for using technology to do that and to support citizens. But at the same time, there's always a risk involved, and it's about understanding that risk and managing it. What I want to talk about this time around in Sydney is about vendors, how we interact with vendors, and how we manage the risk that they bring on board. Because at the end of the day, smart cities are basically technology applied to a non technical environment. And for that technology, you need a lot of vendors. You need the expertise that they bring on board, but you don't need the risk.
So, in your area of cyber risk, obviously it requires a lot of coordination. In your experience, is this a difficult thing to get all the vendors to align to the public interest? And what is the process around that? Because just buying a product is itself difficult. Buying a whole set of technologies and getting them to interoperate and making sure seems like a colossal initiative. Do you have any insight on some of the projects you've gone through on kind of like best practices and making sure the vendors themselves are secure? Their software secure is by the time it ships to you?
Absolutely. It is a massive undertaking. So when you think the average organization has about 80 different third parties that they're dealing with at any one time. And so does a project, even more than that. So when you think about the classic way of assessing a vendor's security, it is extremely time consuming. You're sending out questionnaires to vendors and getting them to send you back answers to questions, screenshots, their policies, all sorts of evidence that you need to assess their security. And when you think about it from the buyer's perspective, they have to do that 80 times. And it can take months for just one vendor. When you think about it from the vendor's perspective, they get all of these different questionnaires from different buyers, and it takes months from their perspective as well. So, of course, they're not going to be quick about getting onto the same page and proving to you how secure they are. So, it's time to think about this differently and to think about it as a partnership and a way of getting that security assurance from the vendor that aligns with what they're already doing so that the
What are your
process is
thoughts on, as we look to smart cities, one of the things we see is obviously more and more technology, such as, AI now being connected to cameras to do traffic management. In one way, it makes a lot of sense because nobody wants to be stuck at a red light. If the AI can see that the intersection's empty to let you go through, it makes a lot of sense. But the flip side, there's all this like personal data being collected by these systems, which opens the risk of ransomware and extortion, and on it goes, including we've seen even cases where criminals see if who you are and then figure out you've left your house, so they go to your house and steal from you, right? Do you have any thoughts on best practices, not just on the vendor side, but on the operations side? Because as you mentioned, your firm does not just the design, but you actually manage these projects on what some of the best practices are for the cities or governments that actually are going to run this to make sure that the data is secure from these kind of attacks, which are being facilitated by imaging systems.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, so the data that you get from smart cities technology, if you think about it, so the AI, like you're saying, for traffic lights, you have digital identity that many councils are going towards, and state governments too. You have things like even car parking, so car plates. You have the information of where a particular car is at any given time and the fact that it's away from home. That's a big deal. So you have so much data, and the first step is realizing how valuable it is and how important it is for society, and not just for your organization to keep that safe. The second step is minimizing that data. So you may need it to make that decision at that time to turn that traffic light green, but do you need to keep it? Do you need to process it? Do you need to do anything else beyond the 2 seconds analysis? Because the less data you keep, the less of a target you are, and the less of an impact a breach will have on you. And third,
That's really insightful, because if there's one thing I notice about smart city projects here in the United States, they have gigantic data lakes, and the data lakes keep getting larger and larger. And I think the point you're making is why, especially for things like traffic management, the car's already gone in a few seconds. You don't need to archive 24 hours of high definition video of everybody's cars day after day after day, or year after year, which is what we're seeing. So I mean, this is all great stuff, and I think you bring a lot of practical knowledge. So for the people, if you're available on April 30th, I invite you to come meet Christina at the Smart City Council security meeting. It's going to be a great forum. Unlike most conferences, it's fully interactive. I mean, it's really a set of curated discussions where Christina and others are going to lead discussions for the everybody who's attending. So with that, Christina, thanks for your time, and thanks for helping the Smart City Council. Thanks a lot for you. See you soon.
see you then.